The silent scream, the detection array aboard Deep Space Research Station. Prometheus had been silent for 3 months. Dr. Elena Vasquez stared at the quantum resonance monitors, watching endless streams of cosmic background radiation paint meaningless patterns across her screens. Jupiter's great red spot dominated the viewport behind her, a swirling reminder of the chaotic beauty that filled their universe. At 42, Elena had spent half her life listening to the cosmos, hoping to catch whispers of intelligence among the stellar winds. The Prometheus Station, humanity's most advanced deep space monitoring facility, had been her home for 7 years. Built in Jupiter's orbit to avoid Earth's electromagnetic interference, it represented humanity's best effort to detect signs of alien civilization. Captain Marcus Webb entered the communications bay, his footsteps echoing in the chamber's metallic silence. The station commander carried 2 cups of coffee, steam rising from their surfaces like miniature nebulae. His weathered face bore the marks of 20 years in deep space service, lines carved by the constant stress of maintaining humanity's furthest outpost. Another quiet night. Webb asked, setting 1 cup beside Elena's workstation. The coffee was synthetic, like everything else aboard Prometheus, but it carried the familiar comfort of routine. Elena accepted the cup gratefully. The universe seems determined to keep its secrets. Sometimes I wonder if we're truly alone out here, or if everyone else is just better at staying hidden. The irony of her words would become apparent in less than an hour. At 0347 station time, Elena's primary detection array registered an anomaly. The signal appeared as a faint ripple in the quantum foam, barely distinguishable from natural cosmic phenomena. Most technicians would have dismissed it as instrument noise or gravitational wave interference from a distant pulsar collision. But Elena Vasquez was not most technicians. She had developed an intuition for unusual patterns during her years of cosmic eavesdropping. This signal carried something different, a mathematical precision that natural phenomena rarely displayed. The wavelength modulations followed a sequence that seemed almost intentional, like a message encoded in the very structure of space-time itself. Working through the night, Elena isolated the signal and began preliminary analysis. The transmission originated from beyond the edge of known space, somewhere in the void between galaxy clusters where no stars should exist. The power requirements to broadcast across such distances were staggering, suggesting technology far beyond human capabilities. As dawn approached Jupiter's orbit, Elena made her first breakthrough. Hidden within the signal's quantum fluctuations were mathematical constants, prime number sequences, and geometric relationships that could only be artificial. Someone, or something, was using the universal language of mathematics to communicate. Across the cosmic dark, Captain Webb found her still at her station 12 hours later, surrounded by holographic displays showing signal analysis and attempted translations. Elena's eyes were red with exhaustion, but her excitement was unmistakable. "Marcus, you need to see this," she said, gesturing to the main display. "This isn't random cosmic noise. It's a message, and it's repeating every 4.7 hours with perfect precision." Webb studied the data streams, his command training helping him grasp the implications quickly. "How certain are you that this is artificial?" "Absolutely certain that mathematical precision alone rules out natural phenomena. But there's more." Elena manipulated the holographic interface, revealing deeper layers of the signal's structure. The message contains what appear to be star charts, dimensional coordinates, and something that might be linguistic patterns. The breakthrough came When Alina applied xenolinguistic protocols developed by Earth's First Contact Preparation Committee, the signal began to resolve into coherent information. Though the content sent chills through both officers, the message was a distress call, transmitted in multiple mathematical languages and repeated across 17 different frequency bands. The alien communication painted a picture of desperation that transcended species barriers. The senders identified themselves as the Cathara, representatives of what they called the final sanctuary, the last refuge of civilizations fleeing an ancient enemy known only as the Voidborn. The coordinates embedded in the message pointed to a location 847 light-years from Earth, in a region of space that human surveys had classified as empty. But according to the Cathara, it housed the remnants of hundreds of civilizations, billions of beings who had fled the advancing darkness. Of the Voidborn across thousands of years, the message's final section contained the most disturbing information. The Voidborn were not conquerors in any conventional sense. They were consumers, entities that fed on the life force of entire worlds, leaving behind nothing but cold, dead matter. They had systematically destroyed civilizations across multiple galaxy clusters, and now they had found the final sanctuary. Time grows short, the translated message concluded. The Void Hunters have breached our outer defenses. If any receive this transmission, know that we fought with honor. Let our sacrifice serve as warning. The darkness comes for all. Captain Webb immediately contacted Earth Defense Command, transmitting Elena's findings through quantum communication. Amazed, the response came faster than either officer expected, indicating that the implications were not lost on Earth's military leadership. Admiral Sarah Chun's image materialized in the station's command center 6 hours later. The Admiral's reputation preceded her, a brilliant tactician who had risen through the ranks during humanity's expansion into the outer system. Her silver hair was pulled back in a regulation knot, and her dark eyes carried the weight of decisions that affected billions of lives. Dr. Vasquez, Captain Webb, Admiral Chen began without preamble. Your discovery has created quite a stir at Defense Command. We need to understand exactly what we're dealing with. Alina provided a detailed briefing, explaining the signal's origin, its mathematical structure, and the translated content. Admiral Chen listened without interruption, occasionally making notes on her personal display. The coordinates place this final sanctuary at extreme range for our faster ships, the Admiral observed. Even with our latest fusion drives, it would take our fleets 3 months to reach the location. Webb leaned forward. Admiral, with respect, do we even know if these beings are still alive? The signal could be automated, continuing to broadcast long after the senders are gone. That's a possibility we've considered, Chen acknowledged. But our xenobiological experts believe the signal shows signs of real-time modulation. Someone is actively maintaining the transmission, possibly updating it as circumstances change. Alina had been quietly monitoring the signal throughout their conversation. Suddenly, her display showed significant changes in the transmission pattern. Admiral, the signal just shifted, Alina announced urgently. The mathematical patterns are changing, becoming more complex. It's almost as if they're trying to communicate something new, working rapidly. Alina applied her translation protocols to the modified signal. What emerged made the room fall silent. We have detected your response probe, the new message read. Your species shows promise. The Void Hunters advance on multiple fronts. If you possess interstellar capability, we request immediate assistance. Coordinates for emergency meeting point follow. Time remaining unknown. Admiral Chen stood slowly, the implications of the message settling over her like a heavy cloak. Humanity had barely achieved reliable interstellar travel, and now they were being asked to intervene in a war that had apparently raged across the cosmos for millennia. Dr. Vasquez, how confident are you in these translations? Chen asked. The mathematical basis is solid, Admiral. The linguistic patterns show internal consistency across multiple transmission segments. I believe we're seeing genuine communication from a desperate alien civilization. Chen nodded grimly. Then we need to make a decision that will define humanity's place in the galaxy. The debate at Earth Defense Command lasted 18 hours. Military advisors argued about fleet readiness, supply lines, and the risks of engaging unknown alien technology. Political representatives worried about the implications of humanity's first contact with alien intelligence occurring in the context of interstellar warfare. But Admiral Chen saw beyond the immediate tactical concerns. The Cthulhu's message had revealed that Earth existed in a universe far more dangerous than humanity had imagined. If the Voidborn were systematically destroying civilizations, Earth would eventually face them regardless of whether humanity answered this distress call. We have a choice, Chen addressed the Emergency Council. We can wait for this threat to find us, fighting alone when it arrives. Or we can respond to this call for help, potentially gaining allies and intelligence that could save our own world. The decision was unanimous once framed in those terms. Earth's Omega Fleet received deployment orders 12 hours later. Consisting of humanity's most advanced warships, the fleet represented the pinnacle of human military technology. 12 heavy cruisers, 36 destroyers, and 4 massive dreadnoughts prepared for humanity's first interstellar military operation. Fleet Admiral Jackson Torres assumed command from the flagship Prometheus Rising, named in honor of the station that had detected the alien signal. Torres, a veteran of the Mars colonial wars, brought decades of combat experience to what would become humanity's most important mission. As the Omega Fleet departed Earth's solar system, Admiral Chen transmitted a response to the alien signal, using the same mathematical protocols the Cathara had employed. Earth's message was simple but powerful. We have received your call for assistance. Earth's military fleet is en route to your coordinates. Estimated arrival, 73 standard days. Hold position, help is coming. The response from the Cathara came within hours, filled with what could only be described as desperate hope. We will endure. Come quickly. The void grows stronger with each passing cycle. Asterisk, when Earth answers Fleet Admiral Jackson Torres stood on the bridge of the Prometheus Rising as humanity's largest military fleet, dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Cathara system. What greeted them defied every expectation there. Xenobiological experts had formed during the 3-month journey. The system contained 7 planets orbiting a dying red giant star. But that was where normalcy ended. Massive artificial structures filled the space between worlds, connected by energy bridges that pulsed with colors beyond human visual spectrum. These weren't simple space stations, but entire worlds built from crystalline materials that seemed to bend light around themselves. Analysis coming in from the science teams, reported Commander Lisa Park, the fleet's chief intelligence officer. We're reading energy signatures from at least 40 different technological paradigms. This isn't one civilization, Admiral. It's dozens, maybe hundreds. Torres nodded, studying the tactical displays. The Cathara hadn't lied about representing multiple species. The final sanctuary was exactly what they claimed, a refuge for civilizations fleeing the Voidborn advance. But the system also showed signs of recent battle. Debris fields drifted between the artificial worlds, and several structures showed obvious damage from weapons that had carved through materials human science couldn't yet identify. "Sir, we're receiving multiple communication attempts," announced Lieutenant Rodriguez from the communication station. "They're using the same mathematical protocols that Dr. Vasquez established, but the linguistic patterns are evolving in Put them through," Torres ordered, the main viewer filled with an image that would be burned into every human crew member's memory. The being that appeared was clearly artificial, but possessed an elegance that suggested thousands of years of technological refinement, composed of what appeared to be living crystal. It spoke through harmonious tones that their universal translators converted into recognizable language. "I am Keeper Zethkar of the Final Sanctuary Council," the being announced. "Your arrival brings hope to billions who have known only despair. I speak for the survivors of 374 worlds, representing 47 distinct species who have found refuge in our sanctuary." Torres stepped forward. "I am Fleet Admiral Torres of Earth Defense Command. We received your distress signal and came as quickly as possible. What is your current tactical situation?" Zethkar's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly. "The Voidborn advance fleets reached our outer perimeter 6 cycles ago. We have lost 17 defensive platforms and 3 sanctuary worlds. Our projections indicate complete system collapse within 10 of your standard days." The tactical display updated to show the broader strategic picture. The Voidborn forces consisted of ships unlike anything in human military databases. They appeared organic, but displayed technological capabilities that violated several understood laws of physics. Most disturbing was their apparent ability to drain energy from any source they encountered, including the life force of organic beings. "How many enemy ships are we facing?" Torres asked. "Current count shows 47 primary vessels, each larger than your biggest ships," Zethkar replied. "But size is not their greatest weapon. They consume everything they touch, growing stronger with each victory. Many of our species attempted to fight them with energy weapons, only to watch those same weapons turned against us." Commander Park studied the enemy formations. "Admiral, their movement patterns don't follow conventional tactical doctrine. They seem to be probing our defenses rather than pressing a full attack." "They learn," Zethkar explained. "Each engagement teaches them new methods of consumption. This is why so many civilizations have fallen. The Voidborn adapts to every form of resistance." Torres made his decision quickly. "Then we'll give them something they haven't seen before." The human fleet's approach to the Voidborn advance units was unlike anything the galaxy had witnessed in millennia. Where other species had relied on energy weapons and exotic technologies, humanity brought kinetic weapons, fusion bombs, and tactics based on overwhelming firepower rather than technological elegance. The first engagement occurred near the system's 4th planet, where a cluster of Voidborn ships was consuming the remains of a shattered moon. The enemy vessels detected the approaching human fleet and moved to intercept, their organic hulls pulsing with absorbed energy from their recent feeding. "All ships execute attack pattern Delta," Torres commanded. "Target their largest vessels with concentrated kinetic bombardment. Don't give them time to adapt." The Prometheus Rising led the charge. Its main guns firing tungsten slugs accelerated to significant fractions of light speed. The impact on the lead Voidborn ship was spectacular. The kinetic energy tearing through bioorganic armor that had withstood millennia of energy weapon attacks. But the Voidborn response was swift and terrifying. The damaged ship released clouds of dark energy that sought out the human vessels like living things. Several destroyers reported systems failures as the darkness seemed to drain power from their fusion reactors. "They're trying to feed on our ships," reported Commander Park, "but our reactors aren't responding the way they expect." Torres smiled grimly, "Because we're not running on the same principles as their previous enemies. All ships implement Protocol 7. Protocol 7 was a tactical innovation developed during humanity's colonial wars. Instead of trying to outmaneuver the enemy's exotic attacks, human ships would absorb damage while delivering overwhelming return fire. It was brutal, direct, and completely unexpected by an enemy that had faced thousands of years of elegant alien warfare. The human fleet pressed their attack with relentless determination. Ship after ship of Voidborn forces fell to kinetic weapons, fusion warheads, and concentrated plasma bombardment. The enemy's ability to drain energy proved less effective against weapons that relied on physical mass and momentum rather than exotic energy manipulation. During the battle, Torres received communication from deeper in the system. Zethkar and the Sanctuary Council were monitoring the engagement with amazement. "Your species fights like none we have encountered," the Keeper transmitted. "The Voidborn seem confused by your methods. They keep attempting to drain energy that is not there to take." "That's because we fight with physics, not magic," Torres replied. "Watching another enemy ship break apart under human fire. Sometimes, the simplest approach is the most effective." The tide of battle turned decisively when the human dreadnoughts engaged the largest Voidborn vessels. These ancient predators, each the size of a small moon, had consumed entire fleets of alien warships, but they had never faced weapons designed to punch through planetary crust or kinetic impactors, moving at relativistic speeds. The destruction of the first Voidborn dreadnought sent shockwaves through the enemy formation. For the first time in millennia, these cosmic predators faced an enemy they could not simply consume and adapt to overcome. As the immediate threat was neutralized, Torres ordered his fleet to establish defensive positions around the sanctuary worlds. The victory was significant, but both human and alien intelligence suggested this was only the beginning of a much larger conflict. Zethkar requested a face-to-face meeting aboard one of the sanctuary worlds, and Torres agreed to a diplomatic mission. What he found there exceeded every expectation about alien civilization. The sanctuary world was a masterpiece of cooperative engineering. Dozens of alien species had contributed their unique technologies and knowledge to create something unprecedented in galactic history. Crystalline spires housing energy-based beings stood alongside biomechanical structures that supported silicon-based lifeforms. Atmospheric processors maintained dozens of different environmental conditions, allowing species with incompatible biologies to coexist. "This is what the Voidborn seek to destroy," Zethkar explained as Torres toured the central hub. "Not just individual worlds or species, but the very concept of cooperation between different forms of life." Torres was introduced to representatives of species from across the galaxy. Each had a story of worlds consumed, civilizations scattered, and desperate flights across interstellar space to reach the final sanctuary. But they also brought knowledge, technology, and perspectives that had been refined across thousands of years of spacefaring civilization. "Why haven't you been able to stop the Voidborn before now?" Torres asked during a council session attended by representatives of 47 species. An energy being called the Luminar Prime responded first. We have tried every approach our sciences could devise: energy weapons, temporal manipulation, dimensional barriers, even attempts at communication. The Voidborn consume all forms of energy and grow stronger from each encounter. But your species approaches warfare differently, added Zethkar. You use kinetic force and chemical explosions, methods so primitive we had abandoned them millions of years ago, yet they prove effective precisely because they are unexpected. The strategic briefing that followed revealed the scope of the threat humanity now faced. The Voidborn were not simply another hostile alien species. They represented a force of cosmic destruction that had been consuming civilizations across multiple galaxies for millions of years. Their ultimate goal appeared to be the complete consumption of all organized matter and energy in the universe. They are entropy given purpose, explained in ancient artificial intelligence known as the Archive. Where we create, they consume. Where we cooperate, they devour. They represent the ultimate expression of cosmic destruction. Torres realized that humanity's role in this conflict would extend far beyond a single rescue mission. Earth's fleet had demonstrated that the Voidborn could be fought and defeated, but the war itself would require a completely new approach to galactic civilization. Over the following days, Torres worked with the Sanctuary Council to develop a comprehensive strategy. Human tactical doctrine would be combined with alien technology and intelligence to create a new form of resistance the Voidborn had never encountered. The plan was ambitious beyond anything humanity had previously attempted. The combined forces would strike at Voidborn staging areas across multiple star systems, using human kinetic weapons supported by alien defensive technologies. More importantly, they would work to evacuate endangered civilizations before the Voidborn could reach them, denying the enemy their primary source of power. As the Omega fleet prepared for expanded operations, Torres transmitted a full report to Admiral Chen at Earth Defense Command. The response came back within hours. Admiral Torres, your reports have caused significant discussion at the highest levels of government. Earth Defense Command is authorizing the construction of additional fleets specifically designed for anti-Voidborn operations. You are hereby promoted to Supreme Commander of Allied Forces and given full authority to coordinate resistance operations across the galaxy. The ceremony recognizing the new alliance took place on the largest sanctuary world, with representatives of 47 species formally welcoming humanity into what they now called the Coalition of the Light. Torres stood beside Keepers Zethkar as they signed treaties that would bind their civilizations together in common cause. Your species has given us something we had lost, Zethkar observed. Hope. For the first time in 1,000 years, we believe victory against the Voidborn is possible. Torres looked out at the assembled representatives, each representing billions of beings who had fled across the galaxy seeking safety. Then let's make sure that hope becomes reality. The combined fleet that departed the final sanctuary 3 weeks later was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human dreadnoughts flew alongside crystalline warforms and biomechanical cruisers, their weapon systems integrated through technologies that bridged dozens of different scientific paradigms. Their first target was a Voidborn harvesting operation in the Kepler sector, where an entire civilization was being consumed on their homeworld. It would be humanity's first test as defenders of galactic civilization, and the beginning of a war that would determine the fate of the universe itself. As the fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel, Torres reflected on how much had changed since Dr. Elena Vasquez first detected that alien distress signal. Humanity had answered a call for help and discovered their destiny among the stars. They had become the one force no civilization wanted to face, not because they were feared, but because their arrival meant hope had returned to a galaxy that had nearly forgotten what victory looked like. The war against the Voidborn would be long and costly, but for the first time in millennia, the forces of creation had a chance to triumph over the darkness that sought to consume everything they had built. Humanity had answered the call, and the galaxy would never be the same.